Hey, John Lee Dumas here, the founder and host of EO Fire, and you're listening to the Sonya Paz and the Rockstar Mentor podcast. Professional artist and entrepreneur Sonya Paz will give you that kickstart that you need to rock your art business. She's built her brand solely on her name and popular artwork for the last 20 years. Learn more at rockstarmentor.com and prepare to ignite.
Here we are again. This is episode 9 of the Rockstar Mentor. Let's kick this thing into gear today.
Welcome to the Rockstar Mentor podcast, the podcast to inspire you and bring the kickstart you need to crush it in the art industry. We'll bring you creative insights, inspiring interviews, valuable resources, and art marketing, along with decades of experience to provide you the strategic approach to unleash your creative talents and rock your inner entrepreneur. Now, your creatively energetic host, Sonya Paz.
This episode of the Rockstar Mentor podcast is brought to you by The Brush Guys, bringing you the best in artist brushes and more. The Brush Guys can be located at thebrushguys.com, and they offer you the best in all things brushes. They also have artist brushes for kids, and I just learned that they have cosmetic brushes for the ladies out there. So if you would like to receive 5% off of your online order, visit thebrushguys.com and use the promo code ROCKSTAR. No minimums necessary. Go there, get your brushes, and rock it. All right there, everyone. Listen up. Here we are, Rockstar Mentor Podcast. We are on episode 9. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the podcast and how this can not only benefit artists or any other creative professional that you might know or might be encountering in your own life right now. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So when I spoke to my techno geek friends a while back and other people who are heavy into social media and online courses, marketing, etc., they embraced the idea when I had told them I wanted to do this podcast for artists. They said, Sonya, this is brilliant. Finally, you should be doing this. You are the one of all people that should be having a podcast and speaking to artists in a very organic and very to the point fashion. So the funny thing was when I had brought this up to artist friends of mine, they looked at me with kind of a puzzled look on their face and said, well, I don't get it. Why would an artist be podcasting? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because podcasting is a way for anyone that is passionate about a topic or a subject, or if you are an expert in your industry, and you have the ability to have a voice on a project or on a subject matter, utilizing the very cool tools that you have available at your fingertips. So you have the platform of your smartphone or perhaps your laptop or computer. And these are the very ways that you can listen to podcasts and download them or subscribe to them. When I am passionate about a topic, I like to talk about it. Yes, and I like to talk about it a lot. And oftentimes throughout the years, I've been asked how I've marketed myself and how I have built my brand behind Sonya Paz. I have had several people who have come into my gallery back then wanting to, quote unquote, pick my brain. And as much as I love helping people, the brain picking was not making that person accountable for the ideas and methods to market themselves properly. So I had started doing art marketing workshops out of the gallery as well as through my studio. The one big thing that I wanted to overcome this year were all of my fears. As you know, I have spoken about that in previous episodes, and I've always wanted to do this podcast or have a really interesting, inspiring, fun, and energetic style of show where I can help other people like yourself overcome fears or market yourself better with your artistic brand. Get your established brand out there. Maybe if you have a brand already, maybe it needs a few tweaks or needs to be perfected. And in order to connect with people on a different level, I felt that I wanted to get online and be able to talk more to you than have you have to go online and go to my blog and read all the stuff. So this is a great platform because this can assist you when you're on the go. In order to connect with people on a different level, I feel the best relationships I have through my art business is my collectors, people who have purchased retail products from us, our retailers who we have wholesale products to. There are other business professionals, people who have reached out to learn more about how to market themselves, and that list goes on. I felt the need to project my expertise in a voice much larger in scale. Let me take, for instance, a couple of good friends of mine. There are Kevin Jenny and Randall Wark out of Canada. I met them at West Coast Art and Frame Show in 2006, maybe it was 2007. They were there exhibiting, and we were there exhibiting. They were podcasting at the time and had a really great show out of Canada, appropriately called Outside the Artist Studio. They had invited me on their show, and they wanted to call me and do an interview. At that time, I was still a little bit timid on being interviewed and having to hear my voice on the air. How would I sound? And had a lot of fears and reservations about it at the time. That was 9 years ago, everyone. Hello, Sonya, get with the ball. What the heck is wrong with me? Why did it take me so long to get on that and to make that a reality? Well, most of it is probably me having some fear and the oh-so-present artist procrastination factor. This is really funny because a lot of people who are artists, friends of mine and colleagues and whatnot, asked me, what are you going to do the podcast about? People can't watch you on a podcast. Isn't a podcast audio only? What could you possibly be talking about? Well, if you know anything about podcasts, and assuming you do, because here you are listening to this podcast and you have either subscribed and you're tuning in, or you were forwarded this by somebody, or you're following us. And if that's the case, thank you very much. If you are listening to this right now, then you've at least subscribed and followed, and that there is a level of interest, an interest to be able to listen to an art professional who has been on most every scope out there in this art industry. Now, one of the burning questions that I've wanted to ask listeners is, before I introduce this podcast to you, were you listening to podcasts? If so, which ones did you listen to? Now, the second part of this, and we'll go into this too, is what are you doing when you are listening to these podcasts? I'd like to share with you what I'm doing when I'm listening to podcasts. And as of recently, in the last almost a year, I've been doing more driving than I have based on meeting with clients and doing different events with Vino Paint. So I've been on the road for roughly 60 to 90 minutes at a time. And maybe for all you commuters, that is a lot of time. Maybe it's not much time at all. But when you're driving about that length, the radio stations, they kind of change here and there, and then you get scratchy and too much talking. I like listening, but I don't like listening to so many commercials. So I plan out what I'm going to listen to before I start my travels via my podcast channel on my iPhone. And I also listen to podcasts when I'm doing other stuff. Maybe when I'm taking my dog out for a walk, when I'm exercising, when I'm straightening up the studio, I'll tune in a channel of a short story that I want to hear. And most importantly, I listen to inspiring podcasts of all different kinds of information while I'm creating, painting, making jewelry, matting, framing, and all that good stuff, all that good creative stuff. And you might be thinking that listening to music or having noise in the background like TV or maybe a movie is something that helps pass the time away. But have you ever thought to listen to something of a different interest or a different topic? Perhaps a podcast on how to get more savvy with your social media or how to market yourself better. And there are a lot of really cool things out there. If you are learning how to play golf, there's tons of channels on golf and golf stories and bowling and all different kinds of things. I've even discovered one called Chips, Dips, and Dorks, and they rate and review movies from the 80s. It's actually a pretty comedic podcast because they go into different movies like Beetlejuice or Pretty in Pink, and they talk about not only the movie, but sort of what the mindset was. just sort of a unauthorized commentary about the review of 80s movies. And it's only 80s movies. Or perhaps you are a fan of The Walking Dead, and there are podcasts out there that go off on the after notes and all the show details from episodes. Or I like Orange is the New Black, and I also like a few other things on Netflix and HBO. So I'll tune in and catch up to see what's going on those shows or what those commentaries are. And maybe they talk about something I might have missed or have overlooked. So that's kind of fun. The point is, a lot of us have time where we can't read a magazine because we're driving, or we can't watch a TV show because we're painting, or creating or doing glass, or making jewelry, or silversmithing, or what have you. But if you have a smartphone and subscribe to Stitcher Radio or iTunes or SoundCloud, these are just a few of the devices that have apps on there that you can connect with getting onto the podcast. And for me, it's a whole entire world of fun out there. Lots of different independents creating their own shows for entertaining others or educating others. Now, there could have been a plethora of topics I could have chosen to do this podcast. And I don't know if I could have effectively taught you how to mix paint on a whole series of podcasts or how I create as an artist. But I had to kind of deep down, dig in, research a lot of things. And the burning question that came time and time again and most frequently over the years was, how do I market and brand myself? Now, I know I had mentioned that I've done workshops at my gallery and I've taught this to artists and creative people. This was the best category that I could have picked right now. And that is for Rockstar Mentor. And I could have branded this program under my own name, Sonya Paz. Even though it is a component of my creative services, I wanted to give this something its own flavor and own brand, and that it could resonate with so many people in the art industry. The truth of the matter is that I'm always looking to develop a new brand and flavor to expand my creative services. And I wanted the podcast to have its own voice and have me as the host, obviously. This was something that it was just a perfect fit. And therefore, it's called Rockstar Mentor. And it's not necessarily that I'm saying I'm the rock star, but it's to turn you into a rock star with getting your business up out there, have a voice, have a look, have a brand. If you've got all that and you're at a little bit of a standstill right now, this podcast is designated to make you rock and roll. Now, I want to give a little bit of props to some of the people and programs that I have found to be so inspiring through the last several months, especially this last 6 months of learning how to get my own podcast up online and to listeners like yourself. I was told that I need to listen to eofire.com with the host John Lee Dumas and Kate Erickson. John Lee Dumas has a 15-episode podcast strictly on podcasting. So the do's and don'ts, the rights and wrongs, and that was really inspiring and beneficial. I also like to listen to The Real Brian with ProfitCast, and he has also been working with John Lee Dumas on the Podcaster's Paradise podcast. And through this whole journey, I have had the opportunity to meet Jason Michael with the Wise Guy Radio podcast. He is a glass artist and he has his own radio show. And of course, Natasha Westcoat, she is with Art Schooled. And Natasha has not only been doing podcasts, but she's been on YouTube. She's got some guts because she does amazing interviews and things on video. And she's very fearless in that regard. So, and she's awesome. And Esther Ludlow with Once Upon a Crime podcast, who is also located in the San Jose area. I just love business and entrepreneurial shows that have a really great message, and the hosts are really awesome with their interviewing skills and have really interesting guest speakers on their podcast. That brings me to Natural Born Coaches with Mark Mahwini, and he's out of Canada as well, I believe. He does an amazing show. I think he does his daily. Ooh, I do mine twice a week. I can't imagine doing this every day. I do have to paint and create sometime during the day. So maybe someday, but not right now. I do have a pretty extensive playlist of podcasts and programs that I like to listen to. don't worry, if you haven't caught the names of any of these folks here, I will be sure to put their information and links to their podcasts and their websites in the show notes for this episode. There are also a number of podcasts that I like that have little short stories that are 30 minutes or less. Some are fiction, some are nonfiction. But the point is that I have areas of time where I don't want to necessarily embrace the quiet all the time. I love to learn, and I'm always on that constant quest for learning. I like to hear stories, and I like to hear what other people have to say in their podcasts. And it's a nice diversion because it's on-demand programming. I can tune in at my convenience and listen to what I want to listen to, what I feel like listening to, and base this all on my schedule, on what I'm doing and where I'm going. There are programs out there for everyone. If you want to learn about hiking, there's a podcast for that. If you want to learn how to parent better as a parent and you have small kids, there is a podcast out there for that. If you want to hear what others are saying about movies or music, there are podcasts for that too. The possibilities are endless. Back to what I was asking at the beginning of this episode. What I would really like to know is, what are you doing when you are listening to this podcast? When you are listening to Rockstar Mentor, what are you doing? Are you creating? Are you driving? Perhaps exercising? Are you walking your dog? I would really, truly love to hear from you. It's just easy to let me know. You can go onto rockstarmentor.com and select the little menu item that says Contact Us and just send me a note. We are scheduling a real treat for you as well. So I will be interviewing artist friends and colleagues over the next couple of weeks. Actually, we're going to be doing this ongoing, but we're going to start doing this over the next couple of weeks and hear about what their experiences are, perhaps what their challenges are, how to overcome adversity, what their insights, highlights, and just to hear what their expertise is in their field of art or their craft. And there you have it. If you can, please take a moment to drop a line and let us know the answer to that question. And I hope, again, everyone out there, all you rock stars, I hope that the Rockstar Mentor podcast is giving you some value and that you're learning things along the way in this crazy art industry, in this crazy, scary art industry, as sometimes some of the people confess it to be. But if you want to get into galleries or interested in developing a new product line, this is something that we can help you with. There is so much easier avenues today than there was when I was doing this 10 years ago. And creating a product line or managing, getting products made, whether it be in your backyard, in your own studio, overseas, or what have you. This is something that we have experience with, and we can certainly get you on the right path. I really love hearing from you all, whether it's on email or through Facebook. If you like this podcast, like I've said before, please go to Stitcher or iTunes and give us a good review, preferably 5 stars. If for some crazy reason you're not happy with what you're hearing or you want to hear something that is of some feedback, if you can just write us offline instead of leaving anything less than a 5-star review, that is always truly appreciated. And if you have any burning questions that need answers straight away, drop me a line via the website, and I will be happy to address those questions for you. And again, I'm so glad that you've tuned in to listen to me, Sonya Paz, your host with Rockstar Mentor Podcast. Our podcast airs weekly with a bonus episode of a Fan Mail Friday. This is our mini segment to get your weekend started, and would love for you to subscribe. And yes, you can also sign up online and be part of our newsletter so you can be aware and informed to be on the front lines to receive VIP emails and specials. I have freebie tools and workshop tips and techniques for you all, and that is only for folks that have subscribed via the email list. Most importantly, be part of our Fan Mail Friday with questions that you might have. Last but not least, we have an amazing mastermind group that you can also sign in to be a part of, learn from other artists like yourself, and ask questions. Ask questions of other artists who are in the same level as you, whether you're starting out or you've been doing this a while. The mastermind group is amazing, and you simply go to rockstarmentor.com and click on the menu item for cool tools and freebies, and the link there, You just got to fill out your name and information, and we will send you information on how to participate in that group. And you know that I can't leave an episode without having some sort of funny music reference. So I love music, and I love music that you can dance to, and I love music that you can sing to. And I was flipping through my playlist this morning, and the Michael Jackson song Off the Wall came up. And one of the messages in that song, which I really like, is that got to leave that 9 to 5 upon the shelf and just enjoy yourself. So kind of take that away. If you have that on your playlist, turn it up, pump it up, listen to it, do a little dance. Nobody's watching. It's fine. And listen to it. It can bring you in a little different of a mindset and sort of knock off any sort of creative block you have. Because whenever I hear music that's highly energetic, it just gets me really even more inspired. So with that said, we are going to conclude our episode today. Thank you so much for listening to episode 9 of the Rockstar Mentor. I am your host, Sonya Paz, and I want you to take the rest of the week, kick up your heels, do a little dance, have fun, and rock it.